Hi, everyone. By the way, I don't think I've met any of you, so I'm super excited to meet you all. I think we're actually going to dive into introductions to start. So my name is Tracy. I'm a product manager at Meta. I've been at Meta for about 9 years. I've been here for a while, but before coming to Meta, I actually used to work in games. So I worked in some mobile game startups with a few folks from Blizzard, and at EA working on console games before that. Again, excited to meet you all because I have been stalking all of your worlds. Like tracking since the beginning of the year. So it's been really excited to see the growth and excited to talk to you about monetization. And I'll hand it over to Mandy.
I'm Mandy. I'm a product marketing manager. So basically, I work really close with PMs like Tracy to get products in your hands. I've been on this team for a couple months, so I'm actually really excited to spend the day with you and learn from you all. I've been, though, at Meta for about 5 years, always in the creator and developer space. And then in my pre-Meta life, everything I did was focused on platform monetization, specifically around helping third parties monetize. So I'm super excited to kind of have my worlds coming together. I think I'm kicking us off. Yes.
There are.
Okay. So things that feel super unnatural to me are a mic in my hand and a clicker, so we'll see how this goes. Also, I'm on East Coast time. I've had a lot of time to drink a lot of coffee. So I'll look at the faces if people are like, oh man, she's rolling, she's going a mile a minute. Throw a hand up if you need me to slow down. The New Yorker in me kind of starts coming out a little bit. So I want to do a quick recap of what we spoke about in the live session last month. For those of you who don't recall, this is the session where we talked about the new economic model in Horizon, the tokens launch, how we're supporting supply and demand, the new IWP bonus. We hit you with a ton of information. We're not going to recap that all here, but I want to just do a quick reminder of why we're making these changes and why we're doing what we're doing. So the first thing is just plain and simple to make it easier for users to buy your goods. Benefits us, benefits you, benefits consumers. It's a win-win-win for everybody. The next thing is to increase the number of users who buy your goods. So once we reduce that friction in the purchase funnel, we want to start loading more people in. Again, benefits us, benefits you, benefits consumers because there's more people that can now experience IWP and how it can positively impact their experience in your world. The next is unlocking more ways for you to earn. So we want to make sure that you have more lines of sight into how to be successful on the platform. And then the last thing we spoke about was just generally making it easier for you to integrate IWP in your worlds. This doesn't have to just be from the mechanics. This is also about making sure you have the information you need to make the decisions for what the right monetization strategy is for you. So in that session, it was fairly heavily weighted on number 1 and number 2. It was a lot about Meta's role in the economy and how we're going to accelerate the economy. It was a lot of talk about tokens. Tracy and I want to dive in a little bit more to number 3 and number 4 today and really anchor on the things that you kind of have more levers to pull for being successful in this economy. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is in-world purchase metrics. So these are the levers you have to pull. These are the metrics to focus on to create that right balance for what is right for you in your specific world and the experience you're building. Integrating IWP in your world. So this is going to be some ideas of how to integrate. Some of this you may know, some of it may be new, but really highlighting some examples of what we see working. And then taking a step back in what's working on a broader level from trends. So things that we see consumers gravitating towards, things that we see you all doing really well. And then, of course, the sneak peek of what's coming behind the curtain and some of the new product things that we're working on that we're hoping to get out in the next 3 to 6 months. And then we'll do the firing squad. We'll let you guys ask questions, and hopefully we have answers. Okay, so I'll kick it back to Tracy to talk about metrics.
Awesome. All right, we're going to dig into some in-world purchase metrics, a little bit of business school for your morning. We're actually going to start with just making sure we're all on the same page regarding a lot of acronyms. So for this next portion, I'm going to invite anyone to just shout out if you know what this acronym stands for. I'll even open it up to Meta employees because I think that's the true challenge if we know our own acronyms. But let's go into it. Who knows what % PU stands for? Yes, percent paying users. So this is the number of people who will purchase IWP in your world, for people who visited your world. How about dollar PU? Yeah, that's good. Close though. It's the average dollar spent by users who do purchase IWP. So among the people that are buying, like roughly how much are they spending within your world? How about MAU? Yes, monthly active users. So this is the number of people who are visiting your world in a month. I'm going to add in a few new ones. How about KPI? Yes, key performance indicator. So these are like the metrics that you're going to use to really determine success. How about LTV? Yes. Lifetime value. Ultimately, these are calculated based on this relationship between percentage of paying users, dollar per paying user, and retention for your world. All right. So we're going to get into it. The next section, we're actually going to dive into some of these like strategies across some of these metrics and what you can do to pull them. The first one's around optimizing for percentage of paying users. Ultimately, what you're doing when you're looking at this metric is optimizing your conversion rate within your world. So some of the strategies that would be that you can do to help increase this would include having in-world purchase items that are broadly appealing, that have high value to like a broad set of users, and are very core to the experience. Are these stores that you have for in-world purchases easy? Are they easy to find, easy to spot, upfront, easy for people to find? I think going back to some of Andy's notes of having things very easy in those like first few seconds are really key. The one thing to note is in the games industry, we usually use this metric as like a core metric for a lot of casual games because they're very broadly appealing and we think that you can convert a lot of people upfront. Some of the examples that I pulled up, one Battle for Steel City, is RJ the creator here? Awesome. I think some of the things with the Z credits is really awesome. When you show up front how to get all of them, it really proves the value of like what these credits are in the world. Another one, Meta Jesus. Is he in the audience? Is he around? Awesome. With Spin the Bottle and credits, again, easy to find, sort of right front and center, especially in that waiting area when people first spawn into the world. The next one is dollar per paying user. So when you're looking at this metric, you're really looking at people who are buying or they're already making purchases in your world, but how are they making bigger purchases within your world? A couple of strategies to look at this metric would be frequency of purchases. So I'll dive a little bit into like what consumables are and like how to use that, leverage that strategy for repeat purchases. But another one is looking at higher priced and high value items. In the games industry, typically we looked at dollar per paying user, especially for more core experiences. What that means is like this is like a hardcore set of users, and they're willing to pay sort of a higher amount within your worlds. I did want to include Samurai Tycoon, Immortal. He's here. I think, especially with swords, I still remember one of the first times I jumped into Samurai Tycoon, and someone was like, "Oh, what sword are you using?" Like that was like a thing, a signal of like a premium item in the world. So I think overall, these are all like the different levers for success. I think I referenced a lot about like games because when we worked sort of in the startup world, like these were the metrics we were looking at to determine success of the experiences we were putting out. As a creator, again, you can optimize along all of these metrics to be successful. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. I think that's the key thing. You really have to optimize for the experiences that best fit your world. Ultimately, again, all creatives, I think you all especially really great at building community, but we really want to make sure that there's signs and signals on how to make this a business as well. So I think the key sort of foundation to this, though, is still retention being the underlying goal. Going back to some of the things Andy mentioned, I think he actually, I will flip it a little bit. I think he mentioned using IWP to add value into the world. I would say add value, and then you can leverage those opportunities to build IWP. So an example being, if you have that item or those things that will take 2 hours to earn in your world, but then you also offer an opportunity to purchase for 99 cents, that actually adds value to the IWP, and you're much more likely to increase conversion. I think the other risk that we definitely wanted to call out is there are risks in over-pivoting in any of these metrics. For instance, you could introduce a paywall that might increase your percentage of paying users, but you're going to churn out a lot of people who don't want to pay as part of that experience. So one of the things we did internally is we actually set up a set of principles to make sure we have this healthy balance between engagement and monetization. Ultimately, our goal isn't to extract dollars. It's about building value, and then you find the opportunities to purchase from that. I'll dive a little bit into the IWP bonus as part of this. So key background for wanting to update the IWP bonus is, again, we wanted to meet you all where you're at and make sure that we're rewarding success across the different axes that you can use and leverage to monetize in your worlds. So that's why we have both rewarding tiers for percentage of paying users, but also dollar per paying user as well. And then what this looks like, again, we want to reward experiences that are successful at these monetization metrics without underpaying because of the user count that may be a limiting factor for total inward purchase volume. Total inward purchase volume. That's a mouthful. So key thing is we are pacing to pay out more in general through this bonus program. And again, we have a Q&A section at the end to go into it. Cool. I think with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mandy to talk about IWP integrations.
Okay, so just like the metrics are not a one-size-fits-all, how you integrate IWP into your world is also not going to be a one-size-fits-all. So kicking off, durables and consumables. We all probably know this, but we need to start somewhere. So durables, this is lasting ownership. Once the user buys this, it is theirs and they have access to it from that point on. And then you get into consumables, which means that single or limited use. This is really great for driving volume purchases, whether that's through repetition or whether that's through buying packs. So a way to start thinking about how to integrate these into your world is, one is expediting progress. So this very much goes back to that progression loop that Tracy spoke about. And we see a lot of great examples in worlds that are leveraging this and then building in the opportunity to monetize within that. So things like this are going to be time-saving, convenience, instant gratification, advantage, especially going back to mobile when you have a short amount of time to make an impact. This is a great opportunity there. The advantage to this, it's highly scalable, and then the stronger the loop you have, the higher perceived value that this is going to drive. We see Horizon Hunter, Big Smoke 214, has a really strong loop where essentially you hunt prey, you earn currency, you get to then buy better gear with that currency, which helps you hunt more prey, and you can kind of do this. Or you can also purchase currency as IWP and kind of jump to the end there. And this, this provides a great opportunity for different types of players or the same player, what their mood is that day and how quickly that they want to move forward. The next is premium items or premium access. So these are things that you can consider using on a case-by-case basis. We really see boosts and power-ups are another powerful consumable that really signal those premium abilities. This is going to be things like earlier VIP access, premium items, special capabilities, elevated roles within the world. The key advantage here is that these items are bringing together kind of that progression loop as well as signaling the premium status within that world. The World City Drift Racing 4 is doing this really well. We've seen these types of boosts being offered, and they're really impacting gameplay in a positive way and creating a great experience for users. The last one is flair and personalization. So some of you might be like, Mandy, this is great, but I don't have this strong progression loop in my world because this isn't what my world is built to be on. Totally fine. We see some game economies that are built primarily on flair and personalization, offering self-expression, offering better social status, and offering role-playing. MetaFeud, that world, offers a ton of different ways for people to express themselves. That can be through character banners, wings, mics, and that's something that's driving IWP purchases there. So I think, the net takeaway that you're going to hear me and Tracy probably keep saying is that this is not a one size fits all. Like, you really have to think about, the world and the experience that you are building, how monetization then layers into that. And I think, going a step further on that, it's also what platform is this experience for? Like, how quickly do you need to introduce that IWP? How quickly? Do you have 2 to 5 minutes to retain a user, or do you have 30 minutes? So kind of thinking about how that gets layered in there. You're going to have the opportunity in a simulation for a lot more progression, or a lot more aggressive progression, since you're focusing on moving a single player through. And in those Hangout or Sandbox experience that don't have that, you're going to rely more on VIP access and premium roles. The only other thing I'll add in here is that it's really important to keep the content fresh. So not just the content in your world fresh, but also your IWP. This is going to drive people back in, this, limited, opportunities for purchase, limited items. We also see this as something that's starting to drive more repetition and purchase as well. I think I can kick it back to you.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And I won't steal this.
All right, we're going to dig into some sort of broad trends that we're looking at. I think the next 2 sections are my opportunities to overshare a little bit of what's going on.
This is when it gets really good to have the product manager presenting.
Yeah. All right. Let's dive into it. One of the things that we're seeing, Mandy kicked us off with talking about consumables and durables. One of the things that we're seeing is that both of them perform well on the platform. I think a lot of people automatically gravitate towards durables because you're like, oh, now you own this something that instantly has much more value. But what we're seeing is consumables perform just as well, if not starting to kick up a little bit and perform even better. One of the key advantages, again, with consumables is that it's repeatable. It's a repeatable purchase. It's also much higher ROI from a creator point of view because you build it once and people will keep purchasing it over and over again. Another broad trend, in-world currencies. You probably saw some of the examples we pulled up with Horizon Hunter, Spin the Bottle, Battle for Steel City. They all leverage in-world currencies. I think back when we started tracking this in February, there was only 2 worlds that were kind of doing it. It was Samurai Tycoon and Pirate's Life were the 2. But nowadays we're seeing it just increase. One of the key things with in-world currency that's advantageous is it helps sort of power that underlying progression loop again. So again, you have a strong progression loop. You have these opportunities to monetize. Another good one is pricing. So let me break down a couple of these charts, actually. The first one shows IWP items by price. So this is across all of you creators, what are the items and how are they being priced and what does that distribution look like? On the bottom is actually show at what price points are you seeing the most purchases from people that are buying. So I think one of the things that we see here is a lot of more people are buying at that 99-cent price point. Again, if you're looking at percentage of paying user, what is that easy, low price, sort of crack that barrier to entry into getting someone to purchase in your world. But what we're also seeing is that there's more purchases in the $9.99 and up. So I do think there's opportunity to play in sort of these higher price items, especially as you're building that value, again, into the world itself. Next slide, kind of opening this too, but be open to try new things as well. I think one of the things that's so interesting about Horizon, it's a platform that's unlike any other. It's immersive, it's social, it's synchronous, it's embodied. There's a lot of things that make it unique. So really look at, I think, inspire each other, look at each other's worlds, see what's going on there, but also look at other platforms, look how other experiences are thinking about monetization strategies, because it's really interesting. Cool. I think I'm going to dive into what's coming up. It's the next part. This is what everyone's looking for. Awesome. And I think we're all NDA'd. I think I can keep saying that early part. We talked about it a little bit before, but just to reiterate, Horizon-wide digital tokens are coming. We are invested in this launch as well, so a couple of things that we're doing to support this. One, we're actually seeding the ecosystem, so we will be granting some free tokens to users to come spend at your worlds. As a creator, you will earn that. What gets spent will become earnings for you. Another part of it is we are building out what we're calling a monetizing world shelf as part of the discovery surface. So that way when people have these tokens, they know where to go to spend it. So I think this is another opportunity as you're building IWP to get it surfaced in our discovery pages. The IWP pricing tool. Couple key updates. This will be launching as we plan to roll out tokens broadly. But the key thing here is that there's flexibility in pricing, so you're no longer going to be stuck at the 99-cent increments. Another big update is, I think before when you had to create a new, if you wanted to update the price, you had to create an all-new IWP item. You can just do that in the tool now without having to create a new item. Another big one, international expansion of IWP. I think Jen spoke about expanding the program overall to get more creators. Right now, IWP is only limited to people, I believe it's US, UK, and Canada, but we are expanding that out international. So again, opening up the number of customers who will be coming into your world. Last one, and I think this is one that I heard a lot about in the Discord channels. People are really interested in avatar wearables. So we are working on building in-world purchasing of avatar wearables. We are starting with some of our 1P, 2P partners. So this is an example of NBA Arena, where we will be selling branded merch to start. But our plan is to expand this all to you all in the coming year. I think with that, hand it back to recap.
So yes, what we hope to touch on today are, more ways for you to earn as well as easier to integrate. This is not going to be a one-to-one mapping. The way that we unlock these things are going to be through tooling. It's going to be through knowledge. It's going to be sharing more trends with you that we see. It's going to be you all sharing knowledge with each other. But hopefully, you can kind of see a little bit more where we're going. Think about the metrics that you should be focusing on. Think about how those build into your bonus programs, specifically the IWP bonus, and where you want to focus there to especially get that raised cap per month that we're offering. As the types of IWP that you can build in, this will continue to expand with wearables. And again, the things that we see that are working, and some of those new products, which I assume we're going to have questions about.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy and Mandy, so much.
Thanks, everyone.